So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about why we're learning about proportion and color. Um, this has to do with assembling palettes that are harmonious and diverse. So learning how to take a restricted color palette, like the mural we're looking at here in Walnut Hills on the left, and using the 9 to 10 colors in a way that brings unity to the color scheme and yet great diversity to the design is a skill set that you're learning by studying colors within proportionate use, non-proportionate use, equal use, and also thinking about temperature groupings. So this is the mural on the left is a Walnut Hills Artworks mural, and on the right is the color studies that they do in order to prepare for these murals. So the dots represent the color scheme. Here is on the right is the complete restricted color palette with a secondary color palette that aids it, meaning these are the primary colors, and then what we have is a slight variation on the yellow and a slight variation on the pink that came from the white and the black mixes. So they did do a tint of the pink with the white, and then they mixed a little bit of the black into the yellow to get the green. Or they did a little bit of this blue with this yellow to get this green. So this is the complete palette. And then over here to the left is actually analyzing those colors in ways that helped create groupings in the mural. So at the top is the grouping used for the 5 face, and this is equal color. They're basically using almost all of the colors except white, and they're using them in very equal proportions. And that's creating a really dynamic focal point, right? That's where the most diversity is in both color, contrast, temperature. So by grouping them in almost equal proportions, you're creating a strong focal point. Then we have this secondary focal point that actually takes our attention, which are We Are Walnut Hills and Points Alley. And this way they wanted us to relate those two parts of the mural, so they used similar proportions, but they switched one palette to the cooler colors and one palette to the warmer colors. So down here in Points Alley, they used a very similar proportion, but they used mostly cool colors. And then up here where they did We Are Walnut Hills, they used this proportion with warm colors. And what that did was created a pattern for the viewer to understand that these two are related and one is dominant and one is subordinate. Okay, but those two bits of information are color related. And then in the background, they're using non-proportionate color of these colors. So they're emphasizing white, which is why I left these spaces between. And then they're emphasizing sort of some colors over others. So for instance, in here, from the green to the black, we have a repetition of those colors and very, very minimal use of these reds. So we have a little bit of a red here and a little bit of a red here on the edge of the mural. So they're using every one of these colors in the mural, but they're using it to distinguish groupings. And that's why it's so important that you guys are studying the kind of color that you are, so that you can learn how to use a very limited color palette to do really diverse things. Okay, I hope that helped.